March 9th, 1959, New York Toy Fair. The ballroom is packed with buyers from Sears, Woolworths, every titan of retail. They decide what American children get to play with. And in the middle of this room, standing next to a tiny booth, is a woman named Ruth. She's holding something that is making these men uncomfortable. A blonde doll in a zebra-striped swimsuit. They're thinking, that thing has too much figure. It has heels, it has heavy makeup, and most problematically, it has breasts. No mother will buy it for her daughter. $3 for a doll with breasts? It'll be dead by Christmas. They were wrong. The doll these men dismissed would become the most successful physical product ever created for children. By Christmas, Mattel couldn't make them fast enough. More than 300,000 sold in the first year. This was the beginning of the worldwide Barbie craze. But there's something strange to this story. The toy that taught generations of girls they could be anything was almost killed before it ever left the room. So how did a doll nobody believed in become the most successful toy in human history? How did a product that offended half the parents who saw it end up in the dreams of 1 billion children? How did this borderline inappropriate doll go on to dominate every toy shelf on Earth, become a billion-dollar franchise, survive a cultural civil war, collapse, resurrect, and then turn into the most talked about movie in the world? Let's go back way back before the pink Corvette, before the dream house, before the movie that made $1 billion in 3 weeks. Los Angeles, 1956. Ruth Handler is 40 years old. She's the only woman in most rooms she walks into. She's the co-founder of a small toy company called Mattel. The company is still small enough that the entire staff fits in one garage. They make picture frames and dollhouse furniture out of scrap wood. Profits are thin. Elliot, her husband, designs. Ruth sells. She's quite good at selling. Over the years, she has watched her daughter Barbara playing with paper dolls, cut-out movie stars, cut-out brides, cut-out airline stewardesses. Barbara gives them adult lives, adult jobs, adult conversations. Ruth notices something strange. When Barbara plays with baby dolls, she's the mother. When she plays with paper dolls, she's the woman in the story. She's projecting herself forward. Ruth asks a simple question most toy executives never thought to ask. What if a girl could play at being grown up in 3 dimensions? They wanted to try adulthood. But the only technology they had to do it was paper. And paper tears. Paper is fragile. Paper is limited. The idea should have died right there. Every doll on the market was a baby. Betsy Wetsy, Tiny Tears, Chatty Cathy, dolls that wet their diapers, dolls that cried, dolls that needed to be fed and burped and put to bed. The entire category existed to teach girls one job: motherhood. Adult-figured dolls? Those were European gag gifts sold in tobacco shops. The most famous was a German cartoon character named Build Lily. 11 inches of plastic skin with a wink and a cigarette holder. Lily wasn't a toy for kids. Lily was a gag gift for men. She was based on a risky comic strip character who was a call girl. You bought Lily at bachelor parties. You hung her from the rearview mirror of your car. It was essentially an adult novelty item. Ruth, Elliot, and their kids, Barbara and Kenneth, take a vacation to Switzerland in 1956. While walking through Lucerne, Ruth spots something in a shop window. It's Build Lily. She buys 3, 1 for Barbara, 2 for Elliot, her husband, and Jack Ryan, the brilliant chain-smoking engineer they poached from Raytheon. Jack was not a toy designer. He had designed the Sparrow 3 and Hawk missiles for the Pentagon and was credited with over 1,000 patents worldwide. Ruth gave them a mandate. Make this, but make it for kids. Lily looks hard, she looks mean. Strip the smirk, soften the face, make her less overtly sexual, but keep the breasts. Who's it for? The answer wasn't moms, it wasn't parents. It was for the girl imagining her future self. That was the market. Jack Ryan was a maverick engineer who understood materials better than anyone. Jack looks at the Lily doll and realizes the problem is the tactile experience. Hard plastic feels cheap, it feels cold. He engineers a new skin, it's soft, it yields to the touch. He invents a joint system for the waist and the knees so the doll can strike a pose. not a stiff pose, but a model's pose. If the doll felt like a statue, it was an object. If it felt like skin, it was a friend. Inside Mattel, the executives panic. The wholesale buyers panic. Even the factory in Japan sends telegrams. American mothers will never allow it. But Ruth is not moved one bit. They named the prototype Barbie after Ruth's daughter. But how do you sell a doll with adult curves to conservative Eisenhower-era mothers? This is where the genius of Mattel's marketing kicked in. It's a lesson in positioning. April Dunford defines positioning as how your product is uniquely qualified to solve a problem that a specific customer cares about. If Mattel positioned Barbie as a sexy doll, they'd die. If they positioned her as a friend, they'd fail. So they positioned her as a teacher. They marketed Barbie as a tool for teaching little girls poise and grooming. The box didn't say future CEO. It said teenage fashion model. That was smart framing. They told mothers, this isn't a threat to your values. This is a training tool for your daughter to learn how to dress properly and attract a husband. It was a brilliant, necessary lie. It lowered the defenses of the gatekeeper just enough to get the product into the house. But how exactly did Mattel bring this message to their target audience? Well, back in 1955, Ruth made a bet that almost bankrupted the company. She signed Mattel as the first year-round sponsor of the Mickey Mouse Club. $500,000, more money than the company has ever made in a single year. At that time, no toy company advertises year-round, only around Christmas. No toy company advertises directly to children during children's programming. It was considered wasteful and slightly scandalous. 4 years later, when the buyers at Toy Fair laughed Barbie out of the room, Ruth already owned the most powerful children's advertising slot in America. The moment the doll was ready, she turned on the fire hose. Elliot thought she had lost her mind, but Ruth knew something the men didn't. If you ask mothers, they'll say no. If you ask the girls themselves, they'll scream yes. And so, for the first time in history, a toy speaks directly to the child who will use it, not the adult who will pay for it. The commercial is 1 minute long. Barbie walks down a runway. A girl's voice sings, "Barbie, beautiful Barbie, someday I'm gonna be exactly like you." The ad showed the doll, but mostly it showed the clothes. It showed the lifestyle. The result was immediate. It was the invention of pester power. Thousands of girls saw the ad, turned to their parents and begged. The phone lines at Mattel melt. The retailers who said no in New York. 2 months later, they were calling Mattel begging for stock. The demand was thunderous. They couldn't keep her on the shelves. 350,000 dolls sold in the first year. Between 1959 and 1961, sales are strong, girls love her, but some parents still hesitate. Ruth realizes the doll is missing something essential. Barbie is alone. 1961, enters Ken, named after Ruth's son. Now Barbie has someone to go on dates with, someone to argue with, someone with whom she can become president while he's still vice president. Suddenly the stories get bigger. Girls start doing something with Barbie they never did with baby dolls. They don't put her to bed, they leave her out, on the desk, in the car, with weird poses, mid-adventure. Because the story isn't over when playtime ends. Barbie is a projection of a future self, and future selves don't clock out at 5 p.m. The product market fit wasn't the doll. It was the job the doll was hired for, not teach me to be a mother. But let me rehearse being accomplished and powerful. Jeffrey Moore talks about crossing the chasm between the early adopters and the mainstream. Early adopters were the imaginative outliers, girls who already cut up Sears catalogs to make paper dream boards. The mainstream were the girls who still played with baby dolls because that's all there was. The bridge between them wasn't a better, cuter baby doll, it was a better question. Who do you want to be when no one is forcing you to be anything? Mattel just kept giving new answers to that question. Astronaut Barbie, 1965, 4 years before Armstrong walked on the moon. Dr. Barbie, 1973, when only 9% of American doctors were women. President Barbie, 1992, long before anyone thought it was possible. Every time society told girls, "Not yet," Barbie whispered, "Watch me." And parents bought it, even some of the ones who wrote angry letters, because deep down they wanted their daughters to believe the whisper. Some parents were writing complaint letters about unrealistic beauty, consumerism, and the dangers of a child playing with an adult woman. To feminist critics, she's objectification. In 1970, at the Women's Strike for Equality March in New York, the protest chant is, "I am not a Barbie doll." Barbie becomes a symbol of everything wrong with beauty standards. Her proportions are impossible. Her focus on fashion is superficial. Her body is said to teach girls to hate their own. Barbie was and still is polarizing, but that's exactly part of why it became such a huge hit. If Ruth Handler had listened to the buyers, she would have made a better baby doll. She would have been safe, and she would have been invisible. Barbie worked because she was polarizing. The features that made the gatekeepers hate her, the breasts, the makeup, the independence, were the exact features that made the users love her. Polarization is how you know you're remarkable. The opposite of remarkable isn't terrible. It's very good. It's invisible. Barbie wasn't very good. It was different, and in a sense, it was weird. As the famous marketer Seth Godin would say, it was a purple cow.
And my parable here is you're driving down the road and you see a cow and you keep driving. Because you've seen cows before. Cows are invisible. Cows are boring. Who's going to stop and pull over and say, "Oh, look, a cow"? Nobody. But if the cow was purple, isn't that a great special effect? I could do that again if you wanted. If the cow was purple, you'd notice it for a while. I mean, if all cows are purple, then you get bored with those too. The thing that's going to decide what gets talked about, what gets done, what gets changed, what gets purchased, what gets built is it remarkable? And remarkable is a really cool word because we think it just means neat, but it also means worth making a remark about.
This "who do you want to be" question was also the key that opened the right positioning that made Mattel and Barbie thrive. No other competitors were empowering girls to visualize the answer themselves. Barbie was the kid's avatar. The child became the doll. When Barbie is an astronaut, the girl is an astronaut. When Barbie is a doctor, the girl is a doctor. This is why Barbie's lack of personality was her greatest feature. She didn't talk. She didn't have a backstory. She was a blank canvas. And this triggered a powerful behavioral loop known as the Diderot Effect. The Diderot Effect states that obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption which leads you to acquire more new things. Because Barbie was an avatar of an adult life, she needed the trappings of an adult life. She needed a boyfriend, Ken. She needed a car. She needed a dream house. Every accessory wasn't just a toy. It was a piece of the identity the child was building. This led Mattel to invent a breakthrough business model for the toy industry. Before Barbie, you bought a doll and you were done. The transaction ended. Ruth and her team looked at the economics. It was very expensive to make Barbie high quality with that soft vinyl and rooted hair. If they sold her at a profit, she'd cost $10. Too high for an unproven toy. So they did something radical. They pioneered the razor and blades model for the toy industry. They sold Barbie for $3. That's about $30 today. It was barely break even, maybe even a loss leader. But Barbie was naked, or nearly naked. She came in a black and white swimsuit. If you wanted her to be a teenage fashion model, you had to buy the clothes. And the clothes, the margins on the clothes were astronomical. Kids were not buying Barbie, they were buying Barbie's world. The clothes, the accessories, the fantasy careers, this was more than a doll, it was a platform. Barbie was the iPhone and the clothes were the App Store. This created a network effect. If your friend had the commuter set, you needed the evening splendor set. It turned a one-time purchase into a recurring revenue stream that lasted for years. Every accessory added value to every previous accessory. In other words, more Barbie makes Barbie better. And Mattel would build and sell every imaginable brick of this Barbie's world. Merchandising, IP licensing, everything. Barbie would become a money printing machine. This was the product market fit moment. direct-to-child television advertising, plus razor blades accessory model, plus blank canvas personality. That trio is what turned a risky $3 doll into a platform empire. By the 1970s, Barbie is generating hundreds of millions in revenue. Since 1959, over 1 billion dolls have been sold worldwide. Mattel estimates 3 dolls are sold every second. In 2016, Time magazine found that 92% of American girls ages 3 to 10 owned a Barbie. But the road to mega success was not without some pretty big bumps. During the 1990s and 2000s, Barbie will be battling some headwinds. Success creates new problems. Like sharks attracted by blood in water, competitors appear left and right. The most formidable was Bratz, which at that time was edgier and cooler. Bratz gains market share. Mattel sues. The legal battle lasts years. Mattel, instead of doubling down on what made Barbie different, tries to play defense. They chase trends. They dilute their positioning. They produce too many dolls with too many contradictory messages. And of course, when you try to be for everyone, you become for no one. Meanwhile, the culture shifts. People scrutinize body image. Parents question stereotypes. Barbie is outdated becomes a talking point. The brand is wobbling. A horrible fate is looming at the horizon. It's called irrelevance. What will happen next then? 2014, a new team comes in, and instead of running from criticism, they study it. They read the scathing opinion pieces, they talk to kids, they talk to parents, and they realize something. Barbie had lost her story. So Mattel changes course. In 2016, they redesigned the body shapes. They introduced 3 new body types: petite, tall, and curvy. They expand skin tones, eye colors, and hairstyles. They adjust proportions. They introduce career dolls that feel like they have actual careers, not just costumes. They stop chasing trends and start giving kids what they want, a vehicle for their dreams. And this unlocks one of the most incredible comebacks in business history. A comeback so big it will end up breaking the box office. It's 2023. It's Greta Gerwig's Barbie blockbuster with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. A sea of pink. People wearing cowboy hats they'll never wear again. Movie theaters selling out like it's 1999. There are even tweets about Barbie official color. Barbie pink, Pantone 219C. Barbie has reached the peak of the cultural zeitgeist.
Cold shower, falling off my roof, and my heels are on the ground.
There's a moving moment in Ruth Handler's memoir, Dream Doll. 1997, she's 80 years old. She's been forced out of Mattel decades earlier over a bookkeeping scandal. She's watching Share a Smile Becky, a Barbie in a wheelchair, roll off the production line, a doll she didn't design. She cries. Not because it's perfect, but because the idea outlived her. That's the quiet truth of Barbie. The woman who made her was flawed. The doll was flawed. The company was flawed. But the story they started, this dangerous, generous story that a girl's future is hers to invent, will keep growing after all of them are gone. 1 billion dolls sold. And still, every year, Mattel asks the same question Ruth asked in 1956. What does she want to be next? The answer keeps changing. The question never does. Marketing isn't about selling a piece of plastic. It's about giving people better versions of their tomorrows. Barbie didn't take over the world because she was beautiful. She took over the world because for one fleeting hour every day, she let little girls be free. And freedom, it turns out, is the most addictive product there is.